Hey heroes, Zero Hero here with a video on the 30 PvE weapons you should have in Destiny 2 and how to get the ones that you don't have. Before we jump into the video, if you learn anything in this video or this video helps you clear up vault space, please consider Hulk smashing that subscribe button, Kamehameha wave blasting the like button, and dropping your most heroic line in the comment section down below. A few explanations of how I categorize weapons for use in Destiny 2. DPS weapons. These are weapons that are focused on damage, hence DPS or damage per second. Ad clear weapons for maintaining dominant presence on the field. And mechanics, which I use for specific types of encounters. Some of these options will play multiple roles in these categorizations. With that said, let's get into the video. The weapon list in no particular order goes like this. In the Kinetic slot, we're going to be having the Wither Horde. This is a best-in-class weapon for DPS and ad clear. Can do passive DPS by sticking the Blight grenade on an enemy. And you can also do additional passive damage by placing the Blight on the ground or at the feet of the target. And I say passive because once you do that, you can change over to different weapons and DPS with that while the tick damage continues to go. If you do not have the Wither Horde yet, it can be purchased at the Exotic Archive for 1 Exotic Cipher, 100k Glimmer, 150 Legendary Shards, and 1 Ascendant Shard. Next up is the Izanagi's Burden. It's an amazing option for DPS and can be purchased at the Exotic Archive for 1 Exotic Cipher, 150k Glimmer, 250 Legendary Shards, and 1 Descendant Shard. The next one on our list is going to be Arbalest. Arbalest is a great option for DPS and mechanics such as dealing with barrier champions or shielded enemies. Arbalest can be acquired through an exotic mission. Next option we're looking at is the Osteostriga. This submachine gun can give you DPS and ad clear due to the poison effect. The poison can also apply passive DPS, the same as I explained with the Wither Horde earlier. The Osteostriga can be acquired by completing the Witch Queen campaign. Next option we have here is going to be the Night Watch. The Night Watch is a great option for mechanics such as champion fights and distance fights such as hobgoblins. Note that I will actually be replacing the Night Watch this season with the Hung Jury Adept, since the Adept version of Hung Jury with kinetic tremors, if you want to get your hands on a scout rifle that is in the top 30 PvE weapons that you should have, this can be acquired through the New Light quest at the mission kiosk. Next up, we're taking a look at the Fatebringer, specifically the Time Lost version. This is a best-in-class option for hand cannons for mechanics and ad clear, thanks to the Firefly and explosive payload that comes on all Time Lost versions of this weapon. To get the Time Lost version of the Fatebringer, you want to do the Templar checkpoint of the Vault of Glass Master version. Next up, we're going to be taking a look at Heritage. This is a DPS shotgun that can be found in the Deepstone Crypt and can be crafted with reconstruction and recombination for huge DPS. Get your hands on this slug shotgun. Next up, we are looking at the Succession, a DPS sniper rifle found in the Deepstone Crypt. Big DPS here and great to partner when you have an exotic in another slot, reconstruction and Vorpal on this one. Next up, we are looking at the Submission. This is an ad clearing monster, a 900 RPM submachine gun that just tears through waves of ads, and this can be found in the Vow of Disciple raid. The last one we're going to be taking a look at here is the Ignition Code. Mechanically, you should always have options for disorienting grenade launchers. You can also find the Pardon Our Dust at the Zer's Treasure Hoard. That one will be more readily available. Next up, we're going to go to the energy weapons, and we are starting out with the Funnel Web. This is the absolute best in class 900 RPM submachine gun. It is smooth as butter. The Funnel Web itself can be found as a world drop, and even if you don't have the quote-unquote god roll, Funnel Web is just so smooth. It is a perfect option. At the end of the video, I will be going over some honorable mentions for some other options for weapons that I would have liked to have fit in this top 30, but they just didn't edge out for now. Next up is going to be the Forbearance Grenade Launcher. This is specifically a wave frame grenade launcher. It has insane ad clear ability with the chain reaction. This amazing wave frame grenade launcher can be found in the Vow of Disciple raid. Next up, we have the Aikilos Sniper Rifle. Currently, this is only available through the World Drop, but this is my DPS sniper option in the energy slot, specifically looking for the 4th times the charm and high impact reserves to just knock out some big boss DPS. Next up is going to be our Wilder Flight Grenade Launcher. Mechanically, again, disorient grenade launchers are a must. So in the energy slot, we have the Wilder Flight. This comes from the Spire of the Watcher dungeon. Next up, we have Cartesian Coordinate. This is a big DPS fusion rifle, not currently available. So if you don't have this, look for a couple other options in either one, the Iterative Loop from Neo Muna, or the Null Composure from the Exotic Archive at the tower. Next up, we have the Under Your Skin Combat Bow. Combat bows with explosive head are amazing mechanic options in the game, especially when we have overload bows. The explosive head will continue to proc that overload stun for you. If you don't have this combat bow with explosive head, I've got a couple other options for you. You can look for Tyranny in the Last Wish raid. The second option is also you can actually focus the Strident Whistle combat bow at Zavala. So next up, we have Risk Runner. This is a great ad clear option that also offers arc damage resist, and this great exotic can be acquired via an exotic mission. Next up, we have our Divinity. Another mechanic option here, this one for debuffing enemies and providing a crit spot for your fire team. It's also strong against overloads. So be a support king, get the Divinity. Divinity can be obtained through an exotic quest. Next up, we have the Tarnished Metal. This mechanic option is absolutely amazing. It can also alternate in with the ad clear with that role of Volt Shot. And then last but not least in the energy section, I have the BXR 55 Battler, or as I still refer to it, the BR. This is a solid ad clear option with Incandescent, and it feels nostalgic to use the BR again. This can be found in Xur's Treasure Hoard. Heading over to the power weapons, we're going to first take a look at Commemoration. This is one of the best DPS and ad clear options in the power slot. I am using Repulsor Brace on my Void Hunter to provide myself a constant overshield. Normally, I run Rampage for the damage buff. Note that Rampage is better because of your ability to hot swap while using it. Rampage will last through weapon swaps, where Killing Tally will actually reset if you swap that weapon. You can find this weapon option in the Deepstone Crypt raid. Next up, we have the other half. This is our Eager Edge sword. It provides us improved movement, so that goes with the mechanic category, and it also has a DPS option here. You can increase your movement with the Eager Edge. You can increase your DPS with Vorpal. Another Eager Edge sword that's out there is the Half Truths, or the blue version of this sword. But you can get either one of these swords for your Eager's Edge sword at Xur's Treasure Hoard. Next up, we're going to be taking a look at Cataclysmic. Linear fusion rifle that pumps out big DPS. Find this best in class in the Vow of the Disciple raid. You can also be on the lookout for the Briar's Contempt from the Root of Nightmares raid. It's going to head us into our next option of the Falling Guillotine. This is a DPS sword. It's a world drop, and it is oh so nice. You're looking for Relentless Strikes and Whirlwind Blade. Sticking with swords and DPS, we're going to take a look at the Lament. This is another DPS sword, but the DPS is bigger. Get your Lament through an exotic quest from Beyond Light. Next up, we have Palmyra B, DPS rockets. Now, before you yell at me about Hothead, I just want to make a note that I picked this for its ease of access, since you just have to do a side quest from the Witch Queen to be able to craft this amazing option. You can also focus a Hothead at Zavala, but the Adept version is not available. Next up, we have the Tractor Cannon. This is a mechanic option for debuffing enemies, and it also works great in 1-2 punch builds. You can obtain the Tractor Cannon through exotic engrams. Next up is Anarchy. This is a DPS and ad clear option that is quite expensive if you don't already have it, but it can be purchased at the exotic archive at the tower. Note that when I say that it's expensive, that is because the big price tag on getting an Anarchy from the exotic archive includes 240 spoils of conquest, which you can obtain by doing raids. Next option here is the Galahorn, or the Galley. This has been brought down to a mechanics weapon within the game, but it is a wonderful mechanics weapon. And the reason it's classified as this is that it provides Wolfpack rounds to your fire team's legendary rockets. Essentially, you are buffing your fire team's legendary rockets. You can get your own Galahorn via an exotic quest in the 30th anniversary DLC. The last option we have here, rounding out the top 30 PvE weapons that you should have in Destiny 2, is the Xenophage. This is a machine gun. It's a mechanics option for a lot of encounters, that such as oracles or even the hobgoblins in the new exotic mission. The Xenophage can be acquired through an exotic quest in Shadowkeep. Now, to go over some honorable mentions. Honorable mentions are going to start with the Ariana's Vow. This is a mechanic option in the energy slot for a hand cannon that works specifically like a sniper rifle. This is great for barrier champs and can be obtained at the exotic archive in the tower. And the next up in honorable mentions is going to be the Callus Mini Tool. It's a 900 RPM submachine gun that can beast mode the ad clear with incandescent, but it is not currently able to be acquired. All right, next up in the honorable mentions, we have the Thunderlord exotic machine gun for DPS and ad clear. This thing can be found in exotic engrams. And lastly, in the honorable mentions, I wanted to mention the Regnant grenade launcher. This is a DPS grenade launcher that you can get at the war table in the Helm. Well, everyone, that is it for today's video. Please check out the live stream at twitch.tv/ZeroToHeroX for any live content. For other spicy Destiny 2 content and how-to videos, check out the channel. Hope this helped you go from zero to hero. I'll see you next time. Stay heroic and be easy.